Ma'am, step away from the child. The park went silent. He said he's your son. Can you prove that? She blinked. Her son was crying, holding her hand, but the officers pulled him away. It's just a safety check, they claimed. They didn't check her ID, didn't call her husband, didn't even ask the child his full name. She was black. He was light-skinned. That was enough. By sunset, she was in custody. And her son? Placed in protective care, pending confirmation. Subscribe and tell us where you're watching us from. Saturday, 3:17 p.m. Brookside Community Park, Missouri. Danielle Harris tied her son's sneaker as he squirmed in the grass. Stop moving, Jordan. You're gonna trip again. I won't promise. He laughed and hugged her neck, giggling like only 6-year-olds could. She smiled. A warm spring breeze, a half-empty juice box, and 30 minutes before they had to leave for his playdate. Normal. Safe. Peaceful. Until 2 officers approached from behind. Excuse me, ma'am. Step away from the child. Danielle turned, confused. I'm his mother. Is something wrong? We got a report of a possible abduction in progress. What? Who reported that? The taller officer didn't answer. He radioed in. We have contact. Light-skinned child, possible mixed race. Woman fits report. Danielle's heart dropped. What report? Who called? The shorter one knelt next to Jordan. Hey there, buddy. Is this your mom? Jordan nodded, confused. Yeah, that's mommy. And what's your last name? He hesitated. I don't know. I just call her mommy. Do you live with her? Jordan nodded again. The officers didn't move, didn't laugh, didn't ease up. Do you have any documentation? The tall one asked. I don't carry birth certificates to the park. My name is Danielle Harris. I live 5 blocks from here. Ma'am, stay calm. This is a routine check. He just told you I'm his mother. What more do you need? Ma'am, step back. Jordan began to cry. Mommy? Mommy, why are they mad? Danielle reached for him, but one officer gently, but firmly, pulled him back. We need to verify. He's 6. He doesn't know his last name because he just learned to read. What are you doing? It's procedure. A small crowd gathered. 2 teenage girls filmed on their phones. A white woman with a stroller whispered. Maybe she really took him. Danielle's eyes burned. Check my ID. Call my husband. Check the school records. Don't do this. They didn't check anything. She was handcuffed on the grass. In front of her child. In front of her neighbors. In front of strangers who didn't blink. Jordan screamed as they drove him away in a separate cruiser. Danielle sat in the back of the patrol car. No rights read. No charges explained. Just silence. And behind that silence, a single thought. They didn't see a mother. They saw a threat. Danielle sat in the holding cell for 4 hours. No lawyer. No phone call. No updates. Her wrists were red from the cuffs. The bench was cold steel. She stared at the wall, replaying every second. She hadn't yelled, hadn't resisted, hadn't cursed. Still, they treated her like she didn't belong to her own child. At 7:40 p.m., an officer unlocked the cell. Harris? You're being moved. Where's my son? He didn't answer, just pointed down the hallway. They took her to a plain gray room with a table and 2 chairs. A woman sat on the other side, mid-30s, tan blazer, clipboard. Miss Harris, I'm with Child Protective Services. I need to inform you that your son is currently under temporary state care. Danielle's heart dropped. What does that mean? He was placed with an emergency foster provider pending investigation. For safety. Safety from what? From you, ma'am. Danielle almost laughed. He was holding my hand. Crying for me. You pulled him out of a park. That's your definition of danger? There was a public report. Possible abduction. Mixed race indicators. No documentation. He's my biological son. I gave birth to him. You want blood? DNA? A school ID? He's 6. The woman didn't flinch. This is protocol, Ms. Harris. If the claim proves unfounded, he'll be returned. If... Danielle stood up. Her hands shook. I want to see him. Right now? That won't be possible. There's a 72-hour no-contact period during active intake. Danielle's voice cracked. He has asthma. He needs his inhaler at night. Did you take it with him? The woman looked down at her notes. It wasn't listed in the report. Danielle's chest tightened. Where is he? Who has him? That information is confidential during intake. Danielle dropped back into the chair. I want my husband called. Marcus Harris. I want him told what's happening. The woman paused. There's no Marcus listed on the school record. Only your emergency contact. Your sister, Tanya Lawson. Danielle blinked. That's because the school form only allows 1 entry. He's my husband. He's the father. Check the hospital records. Insurance. Anything. We'll review that during follow-up. And until then, you remain in custody until morning. If no criminal charges are filed, you'll be released under supervision. But your son remains with the state for now. Danielle closed her eyes. The walls felt smaller. Her chest, tighter. Her voice, gone. At 10:12 p.m., she sat back in a corner of the cell. The only thought left in her head. They took my child because we don't look alike. Danielle was called into another room just after sunrise. 2 detectives waited. One spoke. The other watched. Ms. Harris, I'm Detective Reed. This is Detective Sung. We need to clarify a few things. I want to speak to my husband first. Marcus Harris. I've asked repeatedly. We're working on that. For now, we have some questions. Danielle sat down. Fingers locked. Pulse racing. You stated the child is yours. He is biological? Yes. Can you confirm where he was born? St. Francis Medical Center. June 3, 2017. I have the records. Reed scribbled notes. Sung remained silent. Do you have any documentation proving your relationship? It's at home. Why would I bring proof of motherhood to the park? So, at the time of detainment, you had no ID, no paperwork, no custody verification? Danielle stared at him. I had a driver's license. A health insurance card with both our names. I told your officers that. They never looked. We'll confirm that. But the report says you became agitated. I asked why they were handcuffing me in front of my son. Did you raise your voice? Yes. I was watching them take him. Reed leaned forward. Ms. Harris, based on the officer's statement, there's concern you may have misrepresented your relationship. Danielle blinked. Misrepresented? He's my son. Do you think I rented a child for the afternoon? No one's accusing. We're asking. There's also a note that you became physically aggressive. That's a lie. The officer claimed you pulled away while being cuffed. I turned to look at my child. Reed nodded to Sung, who finally spoke. In cases like this, we sometimes request a psychiatric assessment. Just to be safe. Danielle froze. Safe for who? Sung didn't answer. Let me guess, Danielle said. No matter what I do, I'm either hostile or unstable. Reed closed his notebook. You'll be released today. No charges at this time. But custody decisions will remain with CPS for now. Danielle stood slowly. You call this release? I'm walking out without my child. Ma'am, please don't escalate. She stared at both men. I didn't escalate. You did. You escalated because I'm a black woman with a light-skinned child. And that didn't make sense to you. Silence. Do you know what he asked me last week? He asked if he could be Spider-Man because they both have brown eyes. Now he'll remember the day Spider-Man's mom got taken away. They didn't respond. At 11:04 a.m., Danielle walked out of the precinct. No apology, no explanation, and no one waiting outside. Monday, 9:30 a.m. Danielle sat in a carpeted office with a bookshelf full of unread brochures. A man in khakis and glasses closed the door behind him. Ms. Harris, I'm Ethan Carlisle, Family Services Liaison. I'll be overseeing your reunification process. I never should have been separated from my child, Danielle said. We're here now, and our priority is Jordan's safety. He said it so calmly, it made her chest burn. He's safe with me. He's never been unsafe with me. Carlisle opened a folder. Let's go over some basics. You're unmarried? Danielle frowned. I'm married. I told the officers. I told the caseworker. His name is Marcus Harris. We couldn't verify the marriage certificate. No copy on file. Because you never asked. It's at home in a drawer. He nodded, not listening. Employment? I'm a senior analyst at a regional finance firm. 6 years. I'm off weekends. That's why I was at the park. Any history of substance use? Danielle blinked. Excuse me? We ask all guardians. Alcohol? Prescription meds? Past counseling? You detained me in front of my child. And now you're asking if I drink wine? He kept writing. What about prior CPS involvement? None. Not a call. Not a complaint. Carlisle flipped a page. Jordan's foster provider reports mild distress. Night terrors. Increased anxiety. Danielle leaned forward. He's 6. You tore him out of my arms. Of course he's scared. Carlisle looked up. Which is why we need to monitor any potential trauma triggers. Trauma caused by you. He paused. Ms. Harris, I know you feel targeted. But we operate under procedures meant to protect children. And who protects them from your procedures? He shifted slightly. Let's talk reunification. If you complete a parenting course, a home inspection, and one supervised visitation, we'll reassess. A parenting course? Based on what? It's standard protocol when abduction allegations are made. Danielle stood. There was no abduction. No threat. No harm. You created this. Now you want me to prove I deserve the child you stole? He didn't respond. I want him home. Now. Or I will escalate this to every oversight body in this state. Carlyle nodded slowly. I'll note your response. You do that. And make a second note. I'm not here to negotiate my motherhood. Danielle walked out. Down the hallway. Past two officers. Out the main door. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She walked with the dignity they tried to strip from her. And when she got home, she opened her laptop. Typed one sentence. Requesting legal documentation for filing a civil rights violation against Child Protective Services. Tuesday, 6:45 a.m. Danielle sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by folders. Birth certificate, insurance documents, school enrollment, pediatrician files, proof of motherhood. Everything they claimed didn't exist. She didn't cry. She compiled, line by line, date by date, signature by signature. Then she opened her email. Subject, formal request for emergency hearing. Reunification obstruction. She sent it to Missouri Department of Social Services, CPS Regional Oversight Office, Family Court Clerk, and the Governor's Citizen Inquiry Line. By 10 a.m., she received one response. Automated. Your message has been received. We appreciate your patience. By noon, she had filed a notarized affidavit with 2 attached exhibits. Her subject line, unlawful detainment and procedural overreach, Harris versus CPS intake. At 1:14 p.m., her phone rang. Ms. Harris? This is Lisa Murphy, legal intake at the Family Advocacy Project. We received a copy of your filing. You wrote this yourself? Yes. Have you had legal training? No. But I read everything. Well, you did better than most attorneys. We'd like to offer limited representation. Danielle froze. What does that mean? We can't take the case yet, but we can draft motions and assist with filings. You do the speaking. We'll help with the words. She nodded slowly. I'll take it. That evening, a letter arrived by certified mail. From the Missouri Family Court. Reunification hearing scheduled. Thursday, 2 p.m. Temporary visitation granted. 1 hour, supervised. Danielle exhaled. It wasn't enough. But it was something. The next day, she bought a plain blue dress. Not too soft. Not too strong. Neutral. Respectable. She packed Jordan's inhaler, a drawing pad, and 2 books he loved. When she arrived at the CPS visitation room, she waited. 3 minutes. 7. At minute 9, the door opened. Jordan stepped in, holding a social worker's hand. He looked older, more fragile. His eyes searched, then landed on her. He ran, jumped into her arms. Mommy, I missed you. I dreamed you were gone forever. She held him like he might vanish again. The social worker cleared her throat. 1 hour. Danielle nodded. For 60 minutes, she asked nothing. She just listened. He talked about cartoons, sandwiches, how cold the house was at night, how nobody knew how he liked his socks. At the end, she looked him in the eyes. I'm bringing you home. Do you hear me? He nodded. You promise? I promise. That night, she updated her motion, attached 3 more documents, added a closing paragraph. A system that punishes motherhood because of appearance cannot call itself protective. Thursday, 1:57 p.m. Danielle sat in family court, room C, 112. 2 rows of chairs, a wooden podium, and a judge with reading glasses low on her nose. Across the room, a CPS attorney whispered with the social worker. Danielle's hands were steady. Her binder sat open, tabbed, highlighted, dated. The clerk called the case. Family Services versus Danielle Harris. Petition for reunification and restoration of custody. Judge Alston looked up. Ms. Harris, are you represented? Danielle stood. I am self-represented, Your Honor, but assisted in drafting by the Family Advocacy Project. The CPS attorney smirked. Noted. Proceed. Alston turned to CPS. Counsel? The state attorney cleared his throat. Your Honor, we maintain that temporary separation was appropriate under the circumstances. Unverified maternal identity, lack of documentation, and emotional volatility during detainment warranted protective action. Danielle stepped forward. Your Honor, may I respond? Briefly. She spoke clearly. The state claims lack of documentation. I have submitted birth certificate, insurance cards, school ID, pediatric records, and marriage license, all properly certified. No agency requested them prior to my detainment. She paused. My child was removed without inquiry. I was not contacted, not questioned, just separated, publicly, and permanently marked by a system built to doubt women who look like me. The judge studied her. Do you have any witnesses? No, just evidence. And my voice. Alston turned to CPS. Counsel, have you reviewed Ms. Harris's filings? The attorney hesitated. We have not completed verification. Then I suggest you do. Quickly, Danielle added. Furthermore, the parenting course recommendation is not supported by any behavioral report, prior CPS history, or clinical concern. The social worker stood. With respect, we feel the child exhibited distress during the intake period. It's our obligation to be cautious. Danielle locked eyes with her. He didn't cry in foster care because of who I am. He cried because of what you did. Silence. Judge Alston tapped her pen. I will grant a temporary reinstatement of daytime custody, supervised once weekly. I'm scheduling a full custody review in 10 days. I expect all documentation verified by then. The gavel dropped. Danielle exhaled. Partial. Temporary. But forward. After the hearing, the CPS attorney stopped her in the hall. You're surprisingly well prepared. I'm not surprised. I'm a mother. He nodded once. You know this won't end here. She looked him in the eye. No. It ends when you admit what you did to my child in public. He didn't respond. At home, she updated her case summary. Added a new heading. State recognition of procedural failure. May 10th hearing pending. Friday, 8:17 a.m. Danielle opened her inbox. Subject. Urgent. School meeting request regarding Jordan Harris. The message was short. Please attend a mandatory meeting today at 3:30 p.m. regarding recent concerns affecting Jordan's enrollment status. Failure to attend may result in administrative action. She knew that tone. Polite threats. Institutional language. Pressure masked as protocol. At 3:27, she walked into the school counselor's office. Two people waited. The school principal, Ms. Hanley, and a district liaison in a gray blazer. No one offered a chair. Ms. Harris, thank you for coming on short notice, Hanley began. This meeting is to address concerns raised about Jordan's well-being following recent events. Danielle stayed standing. What concerns? The liaison spoke next. We were informed of Jordan's temporary placement with CPS. While we don't assume misconduct, these events may reflect on school safety protocols. Danielle raised an eyebrow. He was taken from his mother in a park. The school had nothing to do with it. Nonetheless, Hanley said, incidents involving legal custody often trigger an administrative review. Of what? Of whether our institution is equipped to serve the child's emotional needs in the current climate. Danielle folded her arms. Say it clearly. You're considering pushing him out because his trauma makes you uncomfortable. The liaison shook her head. That's not what we're saying. Then what exactly are you saying? A pause. Hanley finally said. If the legal proceedings continue, and media or advocacy groups become involved, we may need to evaluate whether Jordan's presence remains sustainable. Danielle stepped forward. My son has straight A's. No behavior issues. No record. No complaints. Yes, but we've also had questions from other parents. Let me guess. White ones. They both stiffened. Danielle pulled out her phone. This meeting is now being recorded under Missouri law. Say whatever you want, but it goes on file. The liaison spoke again, now carefully. We simply suggest you consider voluntary withdrawal. For now, until things settle. Danielle spoke slowly. He is not leaving. He is not hiding. And if a single disciplinary note appears on his record, I'll subpoena every message you've sent this month. Silence. Danielle walked out. Not angry. Not rattled. Prepared. At home, she typed a new entry into her legal journal. Educational retaliation, May 5th, threats of displacement without cause. Then, she drafted 3 letters. One to the district superintendent, one to the State Board of Education, and one to the school's parent coalition. The last one ended with a line she didn't plan, but didn't delete. If you want us gone, you'll have to drag us out like you did in that park. May 10th, 2 p.m. Family court. Same judge. Same room. Different energy. Danielle wore the same blue dress. Not because it was lucky, because it was consistent. Same as her story. Same as her proof. Judge Alston entered. We are reconvened on the matter of Danielle Harris and the custody of minor Jordan Harris. Ms. Harris, Do you wish to proceed without legal representation? I do, Your Honor. CPS counsel began. The department maintains its position that caution was justified. Mixed-race child, unverified custody at point of contact. Danielle stood. Objection. The judge looked up. On what grounds? The child's identity was never in question. Only my appearance was. I have submitted all documentation. CPS verified every item. There is no remaining basis for restriction. Alston nodded slowly. Ms. Harris, please proceed with your statement. Danielle approached the podium. Your Honor, I have submitted 12 exhibits. 1. Birth certificate. 2. Medical records. 3. School ID. 4. Photographs from infancy. 5. Signed pediatric statements. 6. Marriage license. 7. Insurance forms. 8. Foster care intake report with errors highlighted. 9. Transcription of my visitation. 10. Audio recording of school expulsion threat. 11. Timeline of all agency contacts. 12. And legal precedent from Brown v. CPS regarding profile-based detainment. She paused. My son was not removed for his safety. He was removed for their comfort. Because his mother didn't look like their expectation. She turned to CPS counsel. Your office never called me before custody. You never asked my child anything deeper than do you live with her? He said yes. You ignored it. Alston looked at the state attorney. Counsel? The attorney cleared his throat. In light of complete documentation, we defer to the court's discretion. The room held its breath. The judge folded her hands. Ms. Harris, you've made your case with clarity and discipline. The state's actions were lawful in process, but flawed in judgment. She looked up. Full custody is reinstated. Immediate release of the child to the mother. This case is now closed. Danielle nodded once. No tears. No gasp. Just power. As she gathered her papers, the social worker approached. You were impressive. I hope you know that. Danielle stared her down. I hope you remember that the next time a child cries for their mother. At home that night, Jordan sat in his bed. Danielle tucked him in. You're staying? He asked. Always. He whispered. You won. She shook her head. No, I just made them lose. 3 days after the court ruling, Danielle received another letter. Subject, Administrative Review, Jordan Harris. It claimed escalating parental conflict and suggested voluntary relocation to an alternative school to maintain academic continuity. Translation. They still wanted him gone. Danielle didn't blink. She printed the letter, scanned it, emailed it to 3 places. The State Board of Education, the ACLU Regional Legal Unit, and the Brookside Parent Coalition. Within 24 hours, the coalition responded. You're not alone. Let us speak. The next morning, Danielle arrived at the school board's public session. She wasn't alone. 12 parents sat beside her. Black, Latino, Asian, all with files in hand. All with stories. When her name was called, Danielle stood. My name is Danielle Harris. I'm here regarding the retaliatory actions taken against my son, Jordan Harris, by the school's administration following a wrongful CPS intervention. She held up the school's letter. This document claims I've disrupted Jordan's education. Let me correct that. I protected it. She pointed at the principal. You wanted him gone not because he failed, but because you did. A murmur rippled through the room. You took no action to defend him when he was removed from a public park. You never called. Never asked. Then you suggested he'd be safer elsewhere. Danielle looked at the board chair. Is that your policy? To remove students whose parents demand accountability? The chair said nothing. Danielle kept going. I'm submitting formal notice of potential civil litigation under the Equal Protection Clause in Title VI. I am also requesting a public investigation into the conduct of Hamilton Elementary administrators during and after my son's detainment. She sat down. Silence. Then, another parent stood. I'm Cassandra Ruiz. My daughter was denied tutoring for 3 months. They said resources were limited. Then another. Marcus Long. My son was flagged for frequent lateness. He rides the bus. For more parents spoke. The board meeting ran 90 minutes over. No one left. By the next day, Danielle received an email. Subject, reconsideration of Jordan's enrollment status. We apologize for any confusion. Jordan's status remains fully active and uninterrupted. Please disregard the previous correspondence. She didn't smile. She saved the email, printed it, added it to the binder. and wrote on the last page. They blinked first. June 2nd. Jordan's birthday. No court dates. No letters. No meetings. Just cupcakes, balloons, and a rented bounce house in the backyard. He laughed with 5 classmates. Not many, but enough. Danielle sat on the porch with a notebook in her lap. She wasn't writing motions. Just names. Dates. Lessons. The fight was over for now. But the damage stayed. Jordan still asked if she'd be gone in the morning. Still looked around nervously in public. But he laughed again. That mattered. At 4:12 p.m., Marcus came outside carrying paper plates. You didn't even cry today, he teased. Danielle smiled faintly. I've done enough of that. He sat next to her. You could have walked away. I almost did. She paused. But I kept thinking, if I don't stand up here, I leave someone else sitting alone in a cell next month. Marcus nodded. I've never seen you like that. In court. At that school meeting. You were. Angry? No. Surgical. She closed the notebook. You know what no one ever said through all of this? What? We were wrong. Not once. He looked down. Do you need that? Danielle watched Jordan run across the lawn. No. I don't need them to admit it. I need them to know I'll be watching. That's enough. A car pulled up. A neighbor stepped out. She waved, then said, I've been meaning to tell you what you did. That took strength. Danielle just nodded. Later that night, after Jordan fell asleep, she sat at the kitchen table. She opened her case folder one last time and wrote 2 words on the final page. Never again. Then she closed it. Not because the fight was over, but because she finally had the ground to stand on if it ever started again. No apology. No victory parade. But she was still standing. And that was everything. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that inspire action and hope.